right. Hello, everyone. This is our Dream Squad here. We're going to be talking about NYSESLAT today, Path to Proficiency. With me, Mr. Grin. We have...
Mrs. Souza.
All right. And?
Miss Soto.
Miss Soto. We're all together here. So me and Miss Souza are English language teachers. And Miss Soto will be representing all the other teachers today. She's our special ed teacher and just a wonderful teacher in general. So she is here. Miss Souza is our most senior teacher. And myself, we will be talking about understanding the NYSESLAT. I know NYSESLAT sounds a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of consonants, some vowels, but what does it mean? What does it do? And what kind of effect it has on kids? That's all we're going to talk about today, right? Take it away, Ms. Souza. What is our shared commitment for today and the shared commitment of the creators of this test?
Okay, so the actual goal for our child's growth is every child deserves an education tailored to their unique voice. The commitment that we have is that the New York State participates in a nationwide commitment to ensure every language learner, English language learner, receives the exact attention and resources they need to thrive. And the tool that we use is we use an annual compass to guide these resources to your child's classroom.
Which is NYSESLAT. That
Which
tool
is
is
the
NYSESLAT. So our promise is that you, the parents, are the partners in this process. And together, we support your child's full potential using tools like NYSESLAT.
Okay.
So that's our goal for today. Go ahead.
So what we'll cover today is what is the NYSESLAT, the basics, who takes it and why does it exist, the federal and state requirements behind it, how it's scored, the performance level explained simply, how results affect your child, service supports and next steps, and how you can help at home. So practical tips for every family.
That's right. So, Ms. Souza?
Yes, the compass for classroom support. So what is the NYSESLAT? The full name is the New York State English as a Second Language Achievement Test. What is it? It's a diagnostic check-in, not a pass or fail test. It gives a precise measurement of your child's English language development.
Right. What does it, what it does is it unlocks the right level of instructional support for the upcoming school year. It matches it perfectly to where your child is with their language learning. And who administers it? Well, it's created by New York State Education Department, and it doesn't mean that we'll always be using this test. Actually, I think starting next year, it's going to be a completely different test. But for now, we use NYSESLAT, and and the state designs it and administers it in a uniform manner. So it's all around, right? All around the state, the
Yes.
same test.
All right, so who takes it and when, Mr. Grin?
Who takes it and when? Well, English language learners. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more, who English language learners are. But all students who are identified as English language learners in grades K all the way through grade 12 will take this test. Students in all New York State public schools are taking this test. Students who continue taking it, and they continue taking it every year while they're classified as ELS. The test is given entirely in English, and it measures how your child uses English language. When is it given?
Okay, it's given every spring, once per school year. Score reports are sent home in the summer before the new school year. Parents are notified of results and have the right to review them. Each year measures how much English your child has grown. A celebration of real achievement.
A true celebration, that's right. Now, the logistics. The test is given entirely in English language. We're going to mention it multiple times. And actually, every time we start the test, we mention that fact to the students. Please answer, or please give your answer in English and use your own words, right? So it is in English. It measures how well your child understands and uses the English language in academic setting. Again, the creators are New York State, and the location, it takes place in school during regular school hours. The duration really depends on how long a student needs to take the test. but we estimating about a period per session. And speaking is pretty brief. It's only a 10 to 20 minute conversation, and it's done individually. That's right. And then writing typically takes also only one session. So now, who are actually English language learners?
So when you enroll your students in a school, every family fills out a home language survey listing the languages spoken at home. After that is filled out, there is a placement assessment. If a language other than English is listed, the student takes a placement test called the NYSETL to determine their English proficiency level.
And we're going to talk about the differences between NYSETL and NYSESLAT a little bit later today, but yes.
Those are two different acronyms. Then you have the L classification. If identified as needing English language support, the student is classified as an L and becomes eligible for ENL or bilingual services. There is also an annual progress monitoring. Each spring, again, the NYSESLAT tracks how much English the student has learned and adjusts the support they receive for the coming school year.
That's right. So, and here's a question. A lot of parents are usually, and even some educators are usually confused. What is the difference between NYSETL and NYSESLAT? As members of Department of Education, there's a lot of abbreviations, right? So, NYSETL, what is it? It's a welcome assessment. Whenever a new student comes, we use it for initial identification. It discovers if a student needs L services. When is it done? Well, it's done once in the life of a student, and only when the child enrolls in a New York State school. And the outcome is initial placement into English support program if it's needed. Now, the difference with NYSESLAT is what?
So what's the difference with the NYSESLAT?
It's an annual compass. So the purpose of it is annual progress. It measures how much English your child has learned over that year. The timing is they take it every spring, and the outcome is adjusting the level of specialized instruction for the next school year.
Why does this test even exist? Why do we have it? Well, it's a mandate of a federal law.
Yes.
The ESSA, or the Every Student Succeeds Act, requires every state to assess L's English proficiency annually and report that progress to the government.
There's always state compliance. New York State uses the NYSESLAT results to comply with federal requirements and Commissioner's Regulations Part 154. There's right services. The results determine the level and type of language support your child receives, ensuring they get exactly the help they need, no more and no less. And the tracking progress is the test documents how much your child's English has grown each year, recognizing and celebrating that real achievement.
And they always grow and they always improve. So hopefully there's nothing in the way that would stop them.
Yes.
The test is made up, the test measures 4 main language domains: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Speaking is everything that has to do with conversing and answering questions aloud. Listening is understanding spoken English in a classroom context. Reading is comprehending age-appropriate stories and informational texts. And then writing, expressing ideas on paper, including what they do on usually session 3, extended constructed responses, or ECRs, where students write a longer guided pieces. You don't have to worry about it, right?
No. And rest assured, every question is scaled specifically for young elementary learners.
That's right.
So let's look at domain 1, listening. Let's see what listening, what do we need to know about that?
Okay, so what students do? Students listen to a short audio passage. It could be a story, conversations, or academic content, and then they answer those questions.
Right.
The type of task that they can have is multiple choice questions. It could be identifying pictures, selecting the correct answer based on what they heard. It's at your child's level, so the questions are matched to grade level content. Kindergartners, they're going to hear simple sentences, while older students are going to hear more complex passages. And why it matters is because listening is the foundation for language. Kids who understand spoken English can follow lessons and they can participate better in class.
How does it look in real life? Do the teacher read the passages, or what do they listen to?
So when they're listening, The lower grades listen to the teacher, but the upper grades have a disc. It's on the smartboard and they listen to a tape. So
Recording.
they're actually a recording. So they're actually listening to someone else's voice and they're trying to understand what they're saying so they can, in turn, answer questions.
All right.
Okay.
Let's move on to
Domain two.
Domain two,
Which is
reading.
reading. So now what do the students do? The students read short passages, stories, informational texts, and poems, and they answer comprehension questions. The types of questions, it's about main idea, vocabulary and context, making inferences, and identifying details from the text. They are grade appropriate texts. Reading passages are chosen to be at or near the student's grade level, adapted for language learners.
Right.
There's a vocabulary focus. Students show they can understand academic vocabulary, the kind of words used in textbooks and classroom lessons.
That's right. And then domain three, speaking. This one is different. This one is one-on-one. Speaking is administered individually or in small groups by a trained teacher, not a test booklet. Students describe pictures, retell stories, respond to questions, and discuss simple academic topics out loud. How's it scored? Well, teachers follow a specific unified scoring guides or rubrics to evaluate vocabulary, grammar, fluency, and clarity. And there's no pressure at all. This is a conversation, not a performance. Students are encouraged and given time to respond.
Let's talk about domain four, writing.
Writing.
What do the students do, Ms. Soto?
So in writing, they respond to writing prompts by composing sentences, short paragraphs, or essays, depending on the grade level.
Right.
The shorter tasks. The short constructed responses are just a few sentences responding to a question or a prompt.
And that's enough.
The longer tasks are extended construction response. They will create a longer piece of writing, either paragraph or essay, to show more developed ideas.
And that's what's expected of them to create a longer connected, a logically connected paragraphs.
That's usually the third day.
And what's evaluated is their organization as they're writing, the use of vocabulary, grammar, how well ideas are communicated, not spelling perfection.
All right. Test by grade level band. So what is the key principle here?
So the key principle is that students do not all take the same test. The NYSESLAT is carefully designed for each age group and grade level. So for example, kindergarten takes their own test, mostly visual and oral tasks with very little writing, designed thoughtfully for young learners who are just beginning school. Grade 1 takes the test by itself also. So it's introduced to simple reading and writing tasks. Speaking remains a large component as oral language is still very central. Now grades 2 to 5, they're working on building reading comprehension with longer passages, expanding vocabulary, and tackling more substantial writing tasks.
And if students don't test out from ESL or ENL, how we call it here, and continue going to middle school, the task will focus on academic language, complex texts, analytical writing, and the language skills needed for middle and high school content. So it will be adapted to their levels.
So we have performance levels. We have 5 performance levels, and we call it ever upward.
Right.
There's always an increment. There's always a progress. Can we discuss the intensive ENL support, Ms. Soto?
All right, so the first step moving upward is the entry level. So you're beginning to interact in English. This gives you the highest level of support.
Right, and they need all that support. They completely new to language. They might not even know how to say hello to each other or to the teacher. So this is a very basic level. We just want them to be present there, to pay attention, to listen, and kind of keep absorbing the language, right? And then moving on to the emerging level. What is emerging level? And Ms. Soto, do you have any experience with students who are emerging?
Yeah, so emerging is they're building their basic vocabulary and comprehensions. Because I'm a special education teacher, I have students who are both ENL students and special education students. So a lot of times what we use to help the students in special education and our ENL students is the same thing. A lot of visuals, sentence starters, things like that help them to build a basic vocabulary. and a lot of supports to also help them build the comprehension.
Right. Transitioning is this tricky kind of step. It's somewhere in between. They feel like they already know enough, but they really don't, and they struggle a lot. And you can see a lot of confusion during that time. That's transitioning level 3. They're grasping more complex academic language, but the language is still not completely independent. They still require a lot of support.
And then expanding, they're showing high independence in reading and writing. Not there yet, but they are showing a higher independence. And then we get commanding. Commanding is when they met their standards, linguistic demands, and they're graduating from L services. That would be their final step.
Yeah, and when they test out of the program, when they reach the commanding level, it doesn't mean it's the end of the road for them. And we can explain that a little bit more. But they're not left to fend for themselves, of course, at that stage. There's more support for them coming. But it is an important celebration. It's when the tests show that the student can continue on their own, right? So, understanding your child's score report. This is something that's done differently in different schools in New York State. New York City, as you know, we are very open about communication. We love communicating with parents, and we're happy to share the test results. But most schools in New York State receive the score report in the summer. Schools in New York City are completely closed in the summer, so there's no sharing of score reports, right? But this report empowers you to see exactly where your child is shining and where they might need more encouragement at home. It serves as the perfect starting point for your fall parent-teacher conference. So that's something you could use to discuss during the parent-teacher conferences.
Yes. And the overall proficiency level is a clear indication of your child's current stage on the path of English independence. There are sub-scores. It's a detailed breakdown of listening, speaking, reading, and writing to pinpoint specific strengths. That's what's on the scoreboard. And it shows the growth from last year, a visual measure of how much your child has advanced since the previous spring.
Right. What does scores mean? So if your child tests level 1 or 2, that is entering or emerging, right? No need to worry. Every level has a tailored support. Your child will receive exactly the help they need, whether they are on their journey, wherever they are on their journey. So for level 1.
Yeah, level 1 is entering. We spoke about that before. But your child is just beginning their English journey. This is completely normal, especially for children who recently arrived or have had limited English exposure. Level 2 is emerging. Your child is beginning to use English in familiar situations. Simple sentences are forming, and real progress is already happening.
Yeah.
And support at these levels.
So students at level 1 and 2, they receive the most support, intensive language support services, the most dedicated instruction time to accelerate their progress.
Right. And by the way, these levels that we're discussing, they are called something else in different states. They all approximate. Some of the states have 6 or 7 even levels. Some of them have 4. In New York, for now, we're using 5 levels. So it's just terminology. It doesn't really, it just represents the progress the students are making throughout the school year, but it is not really like the law, right? So level 3, right? Transitioning level. Your child is making wonderful progress at that level and building independence in English every day. They can communicate in most school situations, but again, they're still in the middle of the process. They still need a lot of support.
And level 4 is expanding. Your child is using English well in school and approaching full proficiency. They're thriving academically in English. Commanding.
Level 5 is commanding. So your child is commanding the language at a high level and may be eligible to graduate from L services, a major milestone worth celebrating. So you have to remember, moving from one level to the next is real, measurable growth. Every level up is a victory for your child and your whole family.
That's right. So how do results determine language services? Your child's score directly shapes the support they receive in school. It actually is directly connected to the amount of services they receive, the amount of minutes, right? Under Commissioner's Regulations, Part 154. So the NYSESLAT determine the type and amount of ENL or bilingual services, depending on the school. If the school provides bilingual services, each student receives the following year. So for those beginners, level 1 and 2, most hours are dedicated ENL instruction per week. May also include bilingual support.
Yes, that's the maximum support.
Right.
Level 3 is moderate support. You're continued with ENL instruction. Support is more focused on academic language as the student gains independence.
Level 4, you have fewer dedicated ENL periods, but the student continues to receive monitoring and targeted help.
And then level 5, eligible for review. They usually test out in New York City at level 5, commanding level. Student may be reviewed for reclassification, but still monitor after that for 2 years after exiting L status. I have some students who still receive L support, me pushing it into the classrooms after they test out, and I just watch them, thrive and make progress.
We did discuss that. We said after they graduate, we still service them 2 years. That's exactly what it says. 2 years we service them for about 90 minutes.
90 minutes, yes.
Yep. So the ENL, English as a New Language program, explained.
This is what we have in our school. Every school is different, but we have ENL. We're a pretty small elementary school, so a lot of parents ask, what is the difference?
So what is it? It's a dedicated class time focus exclusively on developing English language skills. Again, the 4 domains: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. And who teaches it? It's taught by a certified ENL teacher with specialized training in second language acquisition and supporting multiple learners.
That would be us.
Yes. Where does it take place?
So it takes place, it's available in all New York State schools, and every L student is guaranteed access to ENL instruction. I just also want to add that we work together.
Right.
A lot of times, the classroom teachers, general ed teachers, special education teachers work together with the ENL teachers.
Yes.
And we create lessons where we are able to provide. We're able to provide instruction on grade level with all of these extra supports that give all of the students in the class access to it. And it works out very nicely. Again, for special education, a lot of the same supports that I use, the ENL teachers also use. So it's very, very helpful to getting those kids moving.
And when we work with teachers like Ms. Soto here, we always focus on all 4 domains, like listening, reading, speaking, and writing, and when we design lessons. So all 4 domains are continually developing, building complete English toolkit for your child. And the goal is to support your child's English development while ensuring they can fully participate in all academic content areas.
And understanding that the L students are all our students.
Right.
They're general ed teacher, the special ed teacher, and the ENL teachers. We support them completely.
Right. Other schools might have bilingual education programs, and we like to just mention that. Instruction is provided in both English and their home language, helping students learn academic content while simultaneously developing English proficiency. And it's not possible in every school because all neighborhoods are different, right? But in neighborhoods where, or in the communities where there's one dominant language, dominant second language or home language, those programs could be created. Research consistently shows that bilingual education leads to strong academic outcomes, high graduation rates, and stronger English language development over time.
And again, there's different types. There are types available in some schools. We have transitional bilingual, moves the students towards English instruction. Dual language maintains both languages throughout schooling. And heritage language supports home language literacy.
Right.
The availability, well, it's available where there are enough students who share a home language. Like Mr. Green just said, ask your school about bilingual programs and if they're offered in your district.
That's right.
Okay. So the pathway to reclassification, graduating from L services. So the first step is your NYSESLAT score. If the student scores a 4 or a 5 on the NYSESLAT, overall composite score, it demonstrates high English proficiency.
Right, and this process is a little bit different in New York City. It's mostly automatic. As soon as the student reaches that level, they automatically test out. But in a lot of state schools, they have to do a school review.
And the school reviews additional evidence, classroom grades, teacher observations, and academic performance across all subjects.
The next step is, of course, the families will be notified. It's a parent notification step. Parents are given the information how well their students are doing, and they may request a meeting to discuss reclassification decision. So that's where parent voice really matters, right? And then student officially exit the L services. That's step 4. This is a big moment. It's a moment of celebration and a major academic milestone. And what happens after that?
Again, they're still monitored for 2 full years to ensure continued success. And they receive support again if ever needed. That's important to understand.
Logistics. So where does this test live? Well, it's in school during regular school day. There's no special preparation, location, or materials needed for this test. There's nothing that students need to bring for this test. Listening and reading, students work through passages and questions at the pace appropriate for their grade level.
The speaking part is brief and personal, approximately 10 to 20 minutes individually with a trained teacher, a supportive conversation. It's not a formal exam.
Right.
I always tell them we're just talking, it's just a conversation. The writing?
And writing, students respond to the prompts with sentences or paragraphs depending on their grade level and their proficiency level.
Again, in this test, we do not test academic knowledge. We test mostly language. So the passages that they read before for the reading portion
Yes.
usually contain supports for them to create their own answer for the writing portion.
Now the test accommodations and preparation, Mr.
Right.
Wynn?
Just like with any other assessment, L's with IEPs or 504 plans, isn't it right, Ms. Soto, receive their standard testing accommodations. Some of them could be extended time, separate location. They will always apply. These always work.
Do you need to prepare your child?
So no cramming is needed. The ENL teachers prepare students naturally through everyday classroom instruction throughout the whole year.
Right. What can you do? Well, just encourage them.
Yeah.
Tell your child to do their personal best. Remind them the test is not about being perfect. It shows where they are so we can help them grow.
And the notification, the score reports are typically sent home in the fall in the beginning of the school year. Or you can also discuss it with your ENL teacher during parent-teacher conferences.
Right, it's all about parent communication, right?
All right, so how can you support your child at home? The first thing is you can read together. Read in any language.
Absolutely.
Literacy skills, they transfer to English. So every book in any language builds your child's brain for reading.
Right. Talk and ask questions. Conversation builds vocabulary. Ask about their day. Tell family stories. Discuss ideas together. Any language counts.
And English media, use it. English shows, podcasts, and audiobooks help children absorb language naturally and enjoyably without any pressure.
And finally, show positivity. Tell your child their home language is a treasure and English is a great new tool. Pride in both fuels success.
Okay, your child's home language is a superpower. We all agree. Research confirms bilingualism helps children thrive. A child who speaks two languages, does not get confused. They gain cognitive flexibility, better problem solving, and stronger overall literacy skills. Keep speaking your home language. Research consistently shows that a strong foundation in the home language helps children learn English faster and better.
The stories builds bridges. Telling and reading stories in your home language teaches narrative skills that transfer directly to English reading and writing.
Cultural pride equals academic confidence. So children who feel proud of their heritage show higher motivation and self-esteem in school.
And that's something we do as a Dream Squad in our school, right? We promote that.
You're not slowing them down. Parents often worry that speaking the home language confuses children. The opposite is true. It supports English development. That's very important.
Okay. Well, we compiled some frequently asked questions, and Ms. Soto is going to act as a parent. She's going to ask us these questions. Go ahead, Ms. Soto.
Mr. Gren,
Yeah.
can my child opt out of the NYSESLAT?
Well, not really. It is a required annual assessment. Under federal law, or the one we mentioned, ESSA, schools must administer it to all identified L or English language learner students each spring.
Ms. Sousa, does the NYSESLAT affect my child's grades or their GPA?
Well, no, it does not. It does not count towards classroom grades or their GPA. It only measures English proficiency to determine the right level of support.
Mr. Grin, what happens if my child is nervous about taking this test?
Teachers create a supportive, encouraging environment. This does not feel like the other types of tests.
Right.
Students are never penalized for being shy or hesitant. The speaking section especially is designed to feel more like a friendly conversation.
Ms. Sousa, can I request a score report in my home language?
Absolutely. Yes, you have the right to a meaningful communication with the school in the language you understand. Ask the school for translation or interpretation assistance. They are required to provide it for you.
Right.
So, my child did really good and now they're reclassified. But does that mean that they're going to lose all of their support?
No. Former Ls are monitored for 2 full years after reclassification and can receive support again if academic difficulties arise. We hope that it will never happen, but it might. The school stays invested in their success.
Ms. Sousa, what happens if I don't exactly agree with the placement decision?
You have the right to request a meeting and discuss the decision with your school staff. Your input as a parent is valued and considered in all placement decisions.
That's right.
That's good?
Because we work as a team.
Yes, we are.
We
We're a
work,
team.
we always work as a team.
Yep.
So, your rights as a family and just some key takeaways from today's meeting.
So your rights, annual notifications,
For sure.
plain language score reports, translation services, and meaningful input in placement decisions, all guaranteed.
Right. And I think it's very important to just use any opportunity when we have, when the teacher calls or when we have parent-teacher conferences, to use that time to really dig deeper into the results of the NYSESLAT. So whenever there's a next parent-teacher conference, that should be used
Discuss it.
to really discuss how is my child doing in speaking, in reading and writing, where are they struggling the most, and where can we find some support for them.
So we have to remember that the NYSESLAT measures English language growth, not academic ability or a student's intelligence. It's a tool for support. It's not meant for judgment.
No, it is not. And every level matters. Every proficiency level has appropriate, dedicated support. Your child is exactly where they need to be, and we meet them there.
And please, it's really important that your language is a gift. That second language is a gift, or your first language. Keep using your home language. It strengthens your child's English development and cultural identity.
Finally, you are the advocate. You are your child's greatest advocate. Stay connected with the ENL team. We are partners in this journey.
Okay, thank you so much for everyone who was able to join. This video is going to be on our YouTube channel, so if you were not able to join us today, please rewatch it. If you have any questions, you can always contact your teachers. We use Parent Square. We'd like to thank Ms. Soto for lending us her beautiful, welcoming classroom to host this virtual workshop.
Yes.
And thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our presentation. We hope we answered all your questions.
Thank you. Have a great